I got one question for you people. Where were you when the Rancor needed you?
Bog Panda.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Bog Panda. I'm Kelly at KELLYTHUL on Twitter and Instagram.
I'm Dr. Mike at Official Pagan on everything. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, turn on notifications, leave comments. Go to one of our other videos, turn on. No, you already turned on notifications. So just leave a comment, hit like, and then go to
Keep
another
notifications
one.
on. Don't turn
Keep
them
them
back
on. Keep them on. Yeah, make sure. Double check. Then watch a few more videos. Get those likes up. Get those numbers up. It's good for everybody, mostly us, but it's good for everybody.
I think everyone wins. So what do you think about starting more videos with me pointing at the audience being angry? Is that a good way to go, you think?
I mean, I think so. So I live in Philadelphia, and I used to work in Center City, Philadelphia. And there was a lot of people who would approach you with different things, either looking for money or looking to sell you something, and everybody had their own kind of style for whatever it was that they were going with. And there was one guy, if you would walk out, he would scream in your face and then demand $1. So he got attention. I mean, most of those people would just walk right by them. Whatever they were selling or asking for, whatever it was, people would just ignore them, walk around with blinders on. You notice the guy who started screaming at you.
Yeah. It's a decent marketing strategy.
Yeah.
So we'll see how well it works for us. I don't know. But my concern for the Rancor comes from what we're going to talk about today is Haslab's or Hasbro Pulse, which is really their kind of crowdfunding product research platform for higher end collectibles. Mike and I talked a little bit before the show, so you're somewhat familiar with this site then.
Just a little bit. So our friend Vex, who's a collector as well, he's really into Star Wars and Transformers, among other stuff. But he had sent me a link a little while back. They were doing a really high-end Optimus Prime. I don't remember what the price point was for it, but it was up there. It was way out of that $60 sweet spot we were talking about another episode about action figures. It was up there. It was at least a few $100, I think. I mean, it looked amazing though.
Yeah, these things don't come cheap in terms of price. So you'll see certain collectibles at a $200, $300, $400 price point, and for the right collector and the right person, they're fantastic. But if you're a manufacturer of things, one thing you don't want to do is manufacture a bunch of these and they don't move at all. And so Hasbro has kind of done something to take a little bit of the edge off of that, and to do it by setting up this pulse where basically they identify and put together typically a prototype to say, hey, here's what we're thinking about making. If we make it, can I get your commitment to buy it? And if we can get enough people to commit, sometimes it's 2,000, 5,000, a certain number of people that lets them kind of make back whatever costs they need to make back, they'll go ahead and move forward with it. So the Rancor mentioned earlier was that was one that fell just short in terms. So they set up a certain amount of time, and it was a pretty cool looking Rancor. And then they started to kind of try and, hey, we're going to throw in extra figures. They did actually, towards the end of the cycle that it was running, tried to do a couple other things, some live streams and some other things to try and get interest up a little bit more. But it just never quite hit the mark it needed to then go into manufacturing. But many things have, including like Jabba's sales barge, a Ghostbusters backpack replica type of thing. Multiple Transformer things are there. The Razor Crest from The Mandalorian was one of the more recent ones that they were able to kind of book what they needed to. And so there's some folks that kind of take a jaundiced look at, well, you're a big organization and you're kind of doing crowdfunding to do a product. But to me, it's not an inexpensive venture to put something like this together and basically putting it in the hands of the fans to say, there's enough of you out there that think this is cool enough and are willing to spend a premium for it, we'll do it. But if there's not, we're not going to. We'll allocate our resources otherwise. So, what do you think about this approach, Mike?
So I think it's cool that they're offering this. I do understand that people would kind of get their feathers ruffled about some of these price points. But what people have to understand is something like this, to mass manufacture something, even though it would bring the price point down a little bit, it would still be something that's a much higher buy-in than your average action figure is going to be. It's going to price them out of the average person purchasing this. So they can't justify doing a larger run of it. So we run into this all the time on the music side of stuff with physical products and things. People don't buy physical music because you can just stream it online for free or as part of a subscription service that you already have. So why would you purchase it? So for collectors and things like that, we always put it out there like, what do you guys want? Because we're just on our own. Not even the record company doesn't even do it, because the record company just cares about the streaming and digital sales and things like that, and the money they make off of licensing to YouTube and things along those lines. So we do it ourselves when there's physical releases of stuff. So that's why I always post on social media, like, what do you guys want? No matter how ridiculous it is, if enough of you ask for it, then I can justify printing that up. And that's how we started doing 8-tracks. So we've done 2 8-tracks now. We're working on our 3rd one. 8-tracks, there's one guy who can make them in the entire world, make them for real. There's a couple of companies that will do a cheaper job and erase existing 8-tracks and put music over it, which sounds as good as you would think that sounds. So we found a guy who will cut the tape down to 8-track size. He's got the shells and he puts them all together by hand. Each one has to be recorded in real time onto the tape. And 8-tracks, I don't know if you guys know this, it's a reel-to-reel tape, but it's only one reel. So it's just like people used to have the old reel-to-reel machines. It's one reel with like a socket in there so that it spins back into itself. So there's music on both sides of it. He has to record that in real time, wind it all through there, put it together, and then play it back in real time to make sure that it all plays and sounds good and everything. It takes a long time to make these. It's extremely expensive. So that's why we tell people up front, like, a few people ask for 8-tracks. We're like, hey, these are going to have to cost X amount of money. That's just what it costs because there's just no other way to do it at a decent quality unless it costs this. If you guys are cool with that, we'll do it. And that's what happened. So I completely understand, even though they're a big company, where they're coming from with that.
Yeah, it's the 8-track, and I'm going to assume a large number of our listeners. I don't know how much we skew to the younger demographic, but we're really not even talking too young at this point in time to go 8 what? And not know, but what a magical medium that was. And the primary vehicle sound system for a long period of time was the cars would have an 8-track, and that's how the music would come in.
And that's really what it is. I found there's a crossover of classic car collectors who look for music, for like newer music for their classic cars. So that's really, it's a small group of people, but they're always looking for stuff. So we're happy to do it, but you have to understand what the price point of that's going to be if we do that. And so far it's worked out. We sell enough of them right out of the gate that we could justify doing another one. Vinyl isn't a problem right now. So this is another good example of that. Even the major vinyl manufacturers, it's taking them over a year to make records. And that's for big artists. It takes them about a year to pump out records. So we're trying something new where we're going to do on-demand vinyl releases for a couple of things just to see if people prefer that method. Again, pricey, but you'll get a vinyl right away. You're not putting in an order and then getting it a year later.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So you can see that approach. And the one thing, but fans of your stuff, they're going to be kind of loyal to you and shoot straight with you. So when you ask the question about what would you want, and they tell you, they're more than likely going to actually live up to what they say. It's pretty easy for someone to say, oh yeah, I'd buy one of those, and take a pass on it, depending on how connected they are. And so the Hasbro Labs, the Pulse environment kind of takes the free choice out of it, if you will.
Right.
Like once you say, yeah, I'm interested, I'd buy that. They're like, good, buy it. Give us your,
Put your money up. Yeah.
commit to spending that money. And then if enough other people commit, we'll make it. And if not, you're not out the money. So it's a good way to go. I think it's pretty smart. I don't think there have been some that have depicted it, as, well, this is a misuse of crowdfunding and all of that. I don't really think it is. I think it's a supply and demand thing. They're like, hey, we could do this cool thing. Are there enough folks? The Razor Crest is a great example of something that kind of emerged. Now, they didn't put this out, I think, until the second season of The Mandalorian. So some people were already kind of excited about the ship. They'd seen a lot of it. It hadn't been blown up yet, spoiler. So it was pretty cool to see. But then, and I want to tread lightly into this thicket, but before the second episode, basically right when the first two episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi released, all of a sudden within Pulse popped up, hey, who would pay high-end prices for the third sister's lightsaber? So Reva, whose character in Kenobi had it as an Inquisitor, so it has the super cool Inquisitor lightsabers, which rotate double-ended. We've seen a double-ended lightsaber earlier as well, but they put it out there, and much like the Rancor, it did not make the cut. But unlike the Rancor, it never got close. So there really wasn't a lot of energy for that. And I think that's much more a statement of, to have something that's going to get the collectors wild, they actually have to identify with it and be familiar with it. And I just thought it was really premature for them to try and put something like that on Hasbro Pulse until, I don't know, maybe the series had completed, until people had a chance really to kind of see this character through the entire arc and all that type of thing. With Mandalorian, that kind of worked out with the Razor's Crest. Obviously, the Rancor, a lot of history with that. It's Jabba's sales barge, Ghostbusters stuff. People identified with it, and to have something, hey, you don't exactly know who this person is yet, but here's their lightsaber, but it just went nowhere. So I think it was an interesting choice there. But it's so far looking through, it's to me the only really kind of misstep. I think everything else that they've done seemed like the right time to ask. And at the end of the day, it's not a right or wrong what you ask for. You're going to put something out there, and if people are interested, they'll let you know. I did not find it a shocking conclusion that you couldn't build a big market for a lightsaber of a character that nobody exactly even knew yet.
Exactly. Yeah, that part of it doesn't make sense. Because you're pandering to a really specific subset of your fandom when you're doing high-end stuff like this. So I completely agree with you on that. I haven't watched this show yet, but yeah, I completely agree with that. Not being familiar with it, why would I purchase this?
Yep. So we'll have to see that. But I thought it was really cool. If folks weren't aware of it, want to kind of point you there, you should check it out. If you're a fan of a number of properties, you'll find some stuff there you'll kind of love. Not inexpensive options here, but very cool stuff. So definitely worth a look. So wanted to kind of point people to the site and just kind of talk about it a little bit. Anything else you'd like to add for the show, Mike?
No, I think that's it, sir. Just thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks.